The smarter the man, the quieter his soul. Friedrich Nietzsche. Let's be honest, some men just move differently. They don't chase clout, they don't fit into the usual boxes, and they definitely don't follow the popular narrative. You might have seen one in real life, calm, reserved, sharp as a blade, but with no desire to show off. That's the Sigma male, especially the highly intelligent kind. And if you're here wondering why they act so different, the answer's not some overused stereotype, it's much deeper. See, Sigma males with high intelligence don't just think differently, they live differently. They're not being antisocial or arrogant. They've just seen through a lot of the noise that most people still take seriously. They've learned that peace is better than popularity. That truth hits harder than applause. And that walking alone sometimes leads to better places than walking with the wrong crowd. They're not trying to be cool. They're just too awake to play the game. If you're a Sigma male or you think like one, know this. You're not weird, you're not broken, and you're not behind. You've simply tapped into a truth that many people never will. You've chosen depth over drama, growth over gossip, and freedom over fitting in. That takes serious strength. Stay on that path. It's not the easy road, but it's the one that leads to something real. Let's get started. Number 1. They think in systems, not just situations. Most people react to what's right in front of them. The argument, the deadline, the minor crisis. But Sigma males, they don't just see what's happening now. They zoom out and look at the entire system. They're not just dealing with the moment, they're calculating the ripple effect, watching how things link together, and quietly mapping out what's coming next. This is why they seem calm when everyone else is panicking. It's not because they don't care, it's because they already saw it coming, or at least considered the possibility. While others are scrambling to fix the fire in front of them, the Sigma male is already thinking about what caused it, where it'll spread next, and how to make sure it doesn't happen again. That mental discipline, it's not luck. It's how their brain naturally works. They don't obsess over surface-level drama, they trace things back to their roots. If a business deal falls through, they're not just upset it happened. They're analyzing the structure, the timing, the misalignments. If a friendship goes sideways, they don't just blame emotions. They replay the timeline, the patterns, the subtle shifts. Everything connects in their mind. And here's the crazy part, they don't try to be deep thinkers, it just happens. Their mind constantly searches for the why behind everything. They don't just see a problem, they see how it fits into a bigger picture. That's why they rarely overreact. They've already mentally played out 5 different scenarios before most people even notice what's going wrong. This systems thinking makes Sigma males powerful in business, relationships, and life in general. They don't get stuck in chaos because they're always building mental maps that help them stay ahead. While the world plays checkers, they're out here playing chess. And that ability to connect the dots quietly, patiently, and accurately, that's what makes them so rare and so unshakable. Number 2, they're intellectually self-sufficient. Most people need a second opinion before they trust their own thoughts. Not Sigma males, they're built different. When they're curious about something, they don't wait for someone to explain it to them. They dive in, they dig, read, research, question, and reflect on their own. They don't need a group chat, a podcast, or a trending opinion to tell them what to think. They can sit with a book, a deep thought, or a complex idea for hours without getting bored, without seeking approval, and without needing anyone to clap for them. This is what makes them mentally dangerous, in a good way. You can't manipulate someone who does their own thinking. You can't sway someone who questions everything, including what they're told by experts, teachers, or the loudest voice in the room. Sigma males don't blindly follow authority or trends. They follow logic, pattern, and truth wherever it leads. They also know how to disagree without being loud about it. They'll listen, nod, and let you speak, but don't mistake their silence for agreement. While you're talking, they're thinking, not emotionally reacting, but mentally examining the structure of your argument. And if it doesn't hold up, they won't fight you. They'll just move on, mentally filed under noise. That's the power of being intellectually self-sufficient. They don't argue for ego, they seek understanding. They can sit alone in a room and walk out smarter than most people who just spent hours in a group debate. They don't learn to impress. They learn because knowledge sharpens their edge. It's not about sounding smart, it's about being sharp, grounded, and independent mentally and emotionally. And in a world where most people are addicted to external validation, a Sigma male's ability to think deeply, freely, and alone makes him unstoppable. That's what sets him apart. That's what makes him him. Number 3, they've accepted that most people won't understand them. Sigma males have made peace with something most people struggle with, not being understood. At one point, they probably tried to explain themselves, tried to water down their thoughts, simplify their depth, and tone it down just to be accepted. But after being misunderstood too many times, they stopped, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. They realized that constantly shrinking themselves to fit into shallow conversations or surface-level connections was a waste of energy. They weren't made to be average. They weren't built to blend in. They think too deeply, see too much, and feel things others don't even notice. And for minds like that, trying to fit in feels like suffocating. So instead of forcing connection, they chose solitude. Not loneliness, solitude. There's a difference. Sigma males don't isolate out of fear. They pull back because the noise gets in the way of truth. When the world wants quick answers, they ask deeper questions. When everyone else is running in circles, they're sitting still, seeing the pattern. This isn't about arrogance, it's about authenticity. They don't want to fake who they are just to be liked. And they won't dilute their intensity just to make others comfortable. If being real means walking alone, so be it. And here's what most people don't realize. Solitude doesn't scare a Sigma male, it sharpens him. That quiet space where most feel lost is where he finds himself. That's where his best thinking happens. That's where his ideas take shape and his strength gets refined. So no, most people won't get him, and that's fine. He's not here to be understood by everyone. He's here to be true to himself. And that right there is where his power lives. In being okay with walking a path most can't even see, let alone follow. Number 4, they refuse to outsource their identity. In a world where most people are desperate to fit in, Sigma males take a completely different route. They refuse to borrow their identity from trends, influencers, or society's checklist of what's cool. They don't copy-paste their personality from social media. Everything they are, what they wear, how they think, what they believe, comes from them, not the outside world. They're not trying to be edgy just to stand out. They're not rebellious for the sake of being different. What makes them different is that every piece of who they are has been chosen, not inherited. Nothing about them is random, it's all deliberate. From the music they play to the way they walk into a room, it's all built on self-awareness and a refusal to be a carbon copy. Most people are terrified of being seen as weird or too much, so they tone it down, they follow trends, they mimic what's popular so they can blend in. But Sigma males, they don't bend to fit anyone's mold. If the crowd turns left, they'll go right, not to be seen, but because their direction was never up for debate in the first place. They understand something most people never learn. When you hand over your identity to the crowd, you lose your power. That's why they keep it close, guarded. They don't dress to impress. They dress to express. They don't speak to please. They speak with purpose. Even their silence says something real. And sure, some people won't get it. They'll say, "Why are you so different?" And the Sigma male won't explain himself because he doesn't need to. His life speaks for itself. His presence says, "I know who I am." And in a world full of duplicates, that kind of originality doesn't just stand out, it shakes things up. That's what makes Sigma males unforgettable. Not because they're loud, but because they're real. Number 5, they prioritize freedom over popularity. For Sigma males, freedom isn't just a nice idea, it's the core of how they live. They don't need a crowd to cheer them on, and they definitely don't shape themselves just to be liked. In fact, if fitting in means losing themselves, they'll gladly walk the other way, even if it means walking alone. See, most people are raised to believe that being liked equals success. That the more followers, the more friends, the more validation you get, the better you're doing. But Sigma males don't buy into that. They've seen how people twist themselves into someone they're not, just to be accepted. And they know how exhausting that game is, how fake it feels. They'd rather be misunderstood than be a watered-down version of who they really are. It's not that they enjoy conflict or want to upset people, they just refuse to betray their own values for applause. And let's be honest, there's a cost to being real in a world full of performers. But Sigma males are willing to pay that price because the alternative, living a lie, and for them, that's a prison. They don't chase approval, and they definitely don't ask for permission. If they have to choose between peace of mind and popularity, they'll pick peace every single time. And ironically, that self-respect, that refusal to be controlled, is exactly what makes them magnetic. People sense that they can't be swayed, bought, or manipulated. That kind of energy stands out in a world where everyone else is trying to please. This is what makes Sigma males so different and so powerful. They know who they are, and they're not afraid to lose people who only like the version of them that played along. Their loyalty is to their truth, not to the crowd. And in a world obsessed with being liked, being free is the boldest move of all. Number 6, fearless truth seekers. Sigma males don't run from the truth, they chase it, even when it's ugly, even when it shakes everything up. While most people cling to comforting lies just to sleep better at night, Sigma males would rather lie awake wrestling with reality than be lulled by illusion. They're wired to question things, beliefs, traditions, opinions, even their own assumptions. They're not afraid to ask, what if everything I was taught is wrong? That level of honesty? It takes guts. Because let's be real, truth can be brutal. It can break egos, shatter identities, and force you to rebuild from scratch. But Sigma males welcome that process, not because it's easy, but because it's real. They understand that growth doesn't come from sugar-coated answers. It comes from facing the hard stuff head-on. They don't avoid painful self-reflection. They lean into it. They sit with uncomfortable questions most people would rather ignore. They don't just want to be right, they want to be clear. There's a difference. This mindset makes them dangerous in the best way. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't need comforting lies. You can't control someone who's already made peace with life's darker corners. Sigma males are the ones who'll call out the elephant in the room, the ones who'll say what everyone else is too scared to admit. And it's not just about external truth either. They go inward too. They challenge their own flaws, question their intentions, and own their mistakes. Because for them, truth isn't something you find once, it's something you chase for life. That's what separates them from the crowd. They don't just look confident, they've earned that inner strength by walking through fire and not flinching. And in a world addicted to pretending, that raw honesty, it's rare, it's magnetic, and it's exactly what makes Sigma males stand out. Not because they know everything, but because they never stop seeking what's real. Number 7, respect for knowledge over authority. Sigma males don't care about your title. CEO, professor, influencer, or billionaire, it doesn't matter. If you don't have real wisdom, skill, or experience, your words don't carry weight. But if you do, you could be a janitor, a street artist, or an old man on a park bench, and they'll listen closely. Because for Sigma males, truth doesn't come with a name tag. They're not impressed by power plays or status symbols. You can have all the followers, fancy degrees, or letters after your name. But if you're not saying anything real, you'll lose their attention fast. What earns their respect isn't your position in society, it's the substance of what you bring to the table. That's why Sigma males often surprise people. You'll see them having deep conversations with someone others would overlook. They're not networking for clout, they're learning, absorbing, growing. And they know wisdom doesn't always come from the top. Sometimes the best lessons come from the quietest voices. This mindset makes them independent thinkers. They don't follow blindly. They'll question a so-called expert and test ideas for themselves. If a leader is wrong, they'll call it out, no matter how much status that person has. Respect has to be earned, not handed out based on a resume. This also means they're lifelong learners, always curious, always open. They understand that knowledge can come from unexpected places, and they're humble enough to receive it. They don't pretend to know it all, they just know how to filter out the noise. And in a world where too many people worship image over insight, this makes Sigma males incredibly rare. They value depth over display and mastery over popularity. They don't bow to power, they respect wisdom. And that difference, it changes how they move through the world. They're not here to follow false leaders. They're here to grow, and they'll find the teachers wherever truth hides, even in the most unexpected corners. Number 8. Existential awareness. Sigma males don't just live, they reflect on life while living it. They know deep down that nothing here is permanent. People come and go. Moments fade. Even success has a shelf life. This isn't something they read in a book. It's something they feel in their bones. That quiet awareness of life's impermanence changes everything. While the world chases shallow wins, likes, titles, trophies, Sigma males are asking bigger questions. Why am I really here? What actually matters? What will still hold meaning when no one's watching? These aren't dramatic thoughts for them, it's simply how their mind works. They're not content skating across the surface of life, they want depth, they crave it. This mindset makes them slower to chase trends or follow the crowd. They're not motivated by appearances or approval, they're looking for something more, something that feeds the soul, not just the ego. Whether it's through solitude, creativity, knowledge, or connection, they move through life with intention. Every step has to mean something, and it's not because they're gloomy or dark-minded, it's the opposite. They understand how fragile life really is, and that gives them a certain kind of clarity. When you truly get how short and unpredictable life can be, you stop wasting time on nonsense. You stop entertaining drama. You stop being impressed by empty noise. And that's exactly how Sigma males operate. They're not in a rush to collect shiny distractions. They want to leave with a clear conscience and a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. That's why they often come across as old souls, even when they're young. Because their minds are constantly orbiting around meaning, not just motion. This existential awareness doesn't isolate them, it sharpens them, it anchors them. And while others are busy trying to look successful, Sigma males are out there trying to live honestly, think deeply, and leave something real behind. That's the difference, and it shows in everything they do. Number 9, they challenge ideas that feel safe. Sigma males are not the type to get cozy with comfortable lies. In fact, if a belief feels too safe or too widely accepted, they'll probably poke at it just to see if it falls apart. While most people cling to their opinions like a security blanket, Sigmas treat their own ideas like a science experiment, meant to be tested, not worshipped. They're not doing this to sound smart or rebellious. They do it because they'd rather be real than right. They've got no interest in holding on to an idea just because it's familiar. If something doesn't hold up under pressure, they'll let it go. No pride, no ego, that's rare. This makes them dangerous in the best way. You can't trap them in an echo chamber. You can't manipulate them with buzzwords or groupthink. If everyone around them agrees on something, they're the ones asking, but what if that's not the full story? And that question alone, it separates them from the herd. They don't fear being wrong, in fact they welcome it. Because being wrong means they've learned something new. Most people avoid that kind of mental discomfort. Sigmas live in it, that's where they grow. This habit of challenging safe ideas also keeps them mentally sharp. It means they're constantly refining their worldview, stripping away illusion after illusion. And it's not just about big picture philosophy. It shows up in everyday life. Whether it's relationships, work, or personal values, Sigma males are always examining, adjusting, evolving. That's why their truth runs deep. It's not recycled. It's not trendy. It's earned through brutal self-honesty and constant inner work. So while others defend their beliefs out of fear, Sigmas tear theirs apart in pursuit of clarity. And in a world full of people pretending to know it all, that level of humility and curiosity, that's not just powerful, it's unstoppable. Number 10, they redefine success on their terms. Sigma males don't care about society's scoreboard, flashy cars, viral fame, big titles, or millions of followers. They see it all for what it really is, noise. They're not chasing applause or attention. They're chasing alignment, that quiet, unshakable feeling that they're doing what matters to them in their own way, on their own terms. To them, success isn't something you show off, it's something you feel. It's waking up in the morning and knowing you don't have to fake a smile. It's doing work that actually means something. It's being surrounded by people who bring peace, not pressure. It's having the freedom to move at your own pace, not someone else's deadline. This mindset flips the script completely. While most people are busy comparing and competing, Sigma males are designing lives that make sense to them. Quiet lives, deep lives, sometimes even invisible lives. But every move they make is intentional. Every step is about truth, not trends. They're not afraid to walk away from a high-paying job if it costs them their sanity. They'll turn down clout if it means losing their soul. And they'll disappear from the spotlight without blinking because they were never doing it for validation in the first place. What they care about is freedom, inner peace, purpose. They know that having more doesn't always mean being more. So they strip away everything that doesn't serve their vision. They'd rather build slowly in silence than perform loudly for people who don't matter. This is why Sigma males seem different. They're not resisting success, they're just redefining it, and that's what makes them magnetic. Because in a world obsessed with appearances, they remind us that real power comes from knowing who you are and refusing to settle for less. To them, success isn't a finish line, it's a feeling. And once they find that feeling, they protect it like gold. Number 11. They don't follow trends, they predict what comes after. Sigma males don't waste time chasing trends. By the time the world starts obsessing over what's in, they've already seen it, studied it, and moved on. While everyone else is busy trying to catch up, Sigmas are quietly thinking 2 steps ahead. They're not just out of the loop, they're tuned into a whole different frequency. This isn't about being rebellious or anti-mainstream for the sake of it. It's because their minds work differently. They don't just look at what's popular, they ask why it's popular, how it got there, and where it's heading next. It's pattern recognition on another level. They can sense the wave before it even forms. And because of that, they rarely get swept up in hype. They don't jump on bandwagons. They don't need to post what everyone's posting or wear what everyone's wearing. By the time a trend reaches the masses, a Sigma male has already dissected it, figured out what's behind it, and decided whether it's even worth his time. What most people see as trendiness, Sigmas see as noise, short-lived, recycled, and often hollow. They crave originality. They value what's real and forward-thinking. And they're not afraid to look out of touch because deep down, they know they're not behind, they're just beyond. This ability to see what's coming makes them visionaries in their own right. They're the ones quietly working on something new while everyone else is copying each other. They're the ones asking what's next, while others are still stuck in what's now. And here's what makes it even more powerful. They're not doing it for attention. They don't care if people get it. They don't need applause or validation. For them, being ahead isn't about being admired. It's about staying true to their instincts. In a world obsessed with trends, Sigma males are rare minds built for the future. In final word, the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. Steve Jobs. Sigma males act differently because they think differently. They don't follow the crowd because they're not interested in the noise. They're too busy building their own path. Their uniqueness doesn't come from trying to stand out. It comes from not conforming. They value independence, wisdom, and authenticity above all else. They're driven by their own standards, not society's. While the world is obsessed with fitting in, Sigma males understand that true power lies in embracing their individuality. They don't need validation to feel validated. They don't measure their worth by followers, money, or popularity. They measure it by how aligned they are with their own values and truths. If they disappoint people along the way, so be it. The ones who truly matter will understand. Sigma males act differently because they refuse to accept things at face value. They're constantly questioning, constantly learning, constantly evolving. They understand that growth doesn't come from staying comfortable. It comes from challenging the status quo, asking tough questions, and refusing to settle for anything less than their best selves. So if you find yourself walking alone or feeling out of place, take pride in it. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs more originals. Sigma males don't just exist. They create themselves. And if you're on that same journey, remember, it's not about being like everyone else. It's about being the best version of you. Keep questioning, keep evolving, and keep walking your own path. The world needs your unique perspective more than you realize. Thank you for watching. God bless you.